You had a house phone?
Test, test, test. Okay, meeting's called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's now 7 o'clock. I'll take roll call.
Seven members are present, Mayor.
I, Jeff Stupram, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution. I, Jeff Stupram, do solemnly swear. Jeff Stupram. Solemnly swear. I will bear true faith and allegiance.
Okay, for mayor's comments tonight, I would just like to first thank my family, friends, and the community of Fremont for the overwhelming support. I would also like to thank the city council for their support. The city council has learned to work together, respecting everyone's views, and keep Fremont moving forward in a positive manner, and we will continue to do so. I would also like to thank staff for their support in what has been a rather quick transition. I'd also like to take a moment to thank now State Treasurer Joey Spollerberg for his service to Fremont as our mayor. And we will continue our mission, which is to be good stewards by fostering a welcoming, collaborative, distinct community that provides resources necessary for sustainable growth and excellent quality of life. And our vision, create an environment for growth opportunities and be welcoming to all. And our values, strong leadership, public safety, fiscal responsibility, quality of life, and teamwork. And with that, I will end mayor's comment. So we'll go to item 1. Resolution 2025-278 affirming resignation of Mayor Joey Spollerberg and certifying return to city property.
Mr. Mayor, we just want to acknowledge that this meeting was preceded by applicable notice, and there is a copy of the Open Meetings Act in the back of it.
Okay. Well,
Thank
I
you.
did forget that.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. This resolution is just to affirm the resignation of previous Mayor Jelly Spellerberg, who we all know took the state treasurer position, and we congratulate him for that. City clerk is required by law to certify the return of all city property by all outgoing city officials. I have confirmed all city property has been returned by previous Mayor Jelly Spellerberg. So this resolution just requires council approval to allow me to certify that. I can take any questions.
Any comments from council? Any comments from the public? Close it to the public. A motion in this regard.
If there are no further comments, Mayor, I would make the motion that we approve resolution 2025-278, affirming the resignation of Mayor Joey Spellerberg and certifying return of city property.
I have a motion.
Are you looking for a
I
second?
am looking for a second.
I'll second.
Please.
The motion carries 7-0.
Item number 2 is election of city council nomination is received from the councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate Lori Lathrop as president of city council.
A motion for Lori Lathrop. Have a second.
I will second.
We don't get a second. Okay. We didn't need a second. Here we go. Yeah, is there anybody else? Okay. So cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Council President Lori Lathrop is elected.
Okay, I'll take a motion to adopt the current agenda for November 12th, 2025 regular city council meeting.
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second. Before we vote on that, however, I do have a recommendation for an amendment.
Okay.
If I may, please. I would like to move item number 23, resolution 2025-290, approving the recommended Keno grant awards in the amount of $48,750 to the point after the public hearings, item number 5 and before the consent agenda.
We're doing it before, correct? There was a motion and a second on the table. Is that okay to amend?
I'll second. As amended.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Don't take a motion as approved as amended.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I will second that.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Appointments. Motion to confirm appointments of Tyler Saxon and Ryan Ruski as police officers per mayor recommendation. They've met all the requirements. Yep. I'll take a motion. These two appointees.
I will move to confirm appointments of Tyler and Ryan as police officers per mayor recommendation.
And I will second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Ruski's here.
Oh, they are here?
Yeah, just Ryan.
Just Ryan?
Mhm.
Well, congratulations. All right, moving on to public hearings, which is item number 5, motion to authorize the mayor to sign Form 50G for the Dewdrop Satellite Keno operations. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. This is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign Form 50G. We have an interlocal agreement with Kennard, Nebraska for their satellite Keno operations. The ownership there is changing hands, so as a part of that, they need the sponsoring governing body, which is the City of Fremont, to countersign the Form 50G, which authorizes the change of ownership. So this is just authorizing the mayor to do so, and I can take any questions.
What was this business previously known as?
I think it was previously the Dewdrop Inn. Now it will be just the Dewdrop, as I understand it.
What's the location?
It's in Kennard. I don't remember the exact address.
okay.
We have an interlocal with
Gotcha.
Kennard, so that's the reason they have satellite Keno operations. Yep.
I'll open a public hearing on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any more comments from council? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize for the mayor to sign for the Keno satellite.
I have a motion.
And I will second.
I have a second. Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Consent agenda, all items on the. Oh, that's right. You're right. We're going to move to item 23, resolution 2025-290. Approving the recommended Keno grants in the amount of $48,750. Staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Angie Olson, Grant Coordinator. So this item is awarding the Keno Grant Awards for fiscal year 2026. And you might remember that last fall, we changed the procedures for doing this. The guidelines now state that organizations submit a letter of intent to apply in May. And we had about a dozen organizations do so. And then around July, the Keno Advisory Board met and then offered 6 applicants invitations to fill out a full application. That way, we don't have a lot of nonprofits wasting time when there maybe aren't enough funds to go around. It also reduces council having to pick winners and losers in the application process. So we had the list of individual organizations that you see in your staff report submit full applications. We also had an invitation for one other organization that did not submit an application, but the total requests are just under $50,000. Budgeted funds for fiscal year 2026 are $50,000. And the projects are detailed or summed up in your staff report, and I'm here to answer any questions.
I just had some, we spoke already about this. I learned about this anyway, right before the last meeting, that we were going to budget these funds this way and had no problem with it at the time. As things have gone on, and I've seen what some of the other communities have been doing with some of the Keno funds, particularly what's happening at this time in the country with the food banks and everything. I happened to catch a news report that Omaha was using some Keno funds to help with that. I was actually intending on making an amendment to that, but in lieu of that, for right now, I'd just like to hear some discussion on it.
Say too, so Fremont's Keno funds are broader than just the Keno Grant Fund. The $50,000 that is being considered here tonight is just allocated for Keno Grant funds for community betterment. And if you have any questions on the broader scope of Keno funds, I think Jody can probably speak to that. I know Parks and Rec and police and a few other departments use those funds as well for property tax relief projects.
Right, it's actually the library and the Park and Rec Department, neither one of those have separate funding mechanisms. Like public safety has sales tax that helps out. And the streets are, of course, using gas fund or gas tax dollars. So those two areas in city services don't have any other funding other than general fund. So we view it as we use the balance of our Keno dollars typically for property tax relief, because without those Keno funds, if these projects needed to go forward, we would have to raise our tax levy. And so we view it as property tax relief. There are a limited amount of funds available, and considering the rather extraordinary situation that the country finds itself in right now with the closed government, I think that, and there has been some discussion both internally with Lifehouse Care Corps, and I've had some discussions with a couple of council members that might be something that we might consider bringing to or pending if you would like to make that directive to staff, that we would bring something to the next council meeting for you to consider a donation. But it would, the key thing here is making sure that we all understand that it is a one-time, very extraordinary circumstance, because we'd be back in the same position we were in with the Keno grants, where council has to say yes to this one and no to that one. But I don't think anybody was planning on having a government shutdown and having it affect the people that are food insecure so directly as this particular situation has.
Yeah, as Jody mentioned, I went over to Lifehouse last week and met with Tara and Julie. They did send me some information, and we're continuing conversations.
I've got just a couple of things on that. Angie, I don't want to, speak out of turn or anything like that, but there are some things that are kind of behind the scenes that may be able to help and alleviate some of this, and without giving up anything that, where you can't, what's the best word, commit anything right now. But is there anything that's going on right now in the city that may be able to alleviate that? And then the other thing too, just about the Omaha part that I wanted to respond to on Mark and for this discussion, is my understanding of the Omaha piece is they took over the Kearney. I don't know how that works. They took over the Kearney Keno or something along that line, and that gave them an opportunity to do some things that maybe made it a little bit easier for them to do that. I don't know.
So the way I understand it, and I have not spoke with Omaha or Kearney yet, this is just from information I have from online. They have Keno, it's sort of like an interlocal, which we just discussed. Omaha has one with Kearney,
Okay.
and that has given them an increased revenue of $150,000 a year. And so with those funds, Omaha has opted to split it 4 ways to support food pantries in their area. So this is new revenue for them, and it's a great thing. So, and that was one of the things that Lifehouse had learned about too. So they reached out to me, and we were able to meet the following day and see how we could collaborate, and what the city could do, what that role might look like. And like Jody said, we can certainly bring some information to the next council meeting to discuss further. And then your first question, as far as,
Well, just, is there any details? I want to, you to, give up any details that you can't, maybe in some early discussions, but
Is there anything else going on in the city right now that might help alleviate some of this? Do you know of anything else going on?
Other than our discussions, no. You mean like free money somewhere?
No, well, no, that would be wonderful if you knew about
Um, Right, right. I don't.
that. In
I
the
mean,
community, I should say, instead of the city, I
oh,
guess,
sure.
for
So, I
clarity.
mean, I just know that, like I said, I met with Lifehouse. They were going to meet, this was last week that we met, and they were going to meet later in the week with United Way, who I have spoken with Shayla over there before, and they are partnering with area churches to support an organized effort. But really, Lifehouse is the most organized food pantry in Fremont, and they do help supplement SNAP benefits for families that are food insecure with about 9 extra meals a month. So we'll just continue those conversations with them. Yeah, it's definitely unprecedented times for sure.
Any other comments?
I think unprecedented times is a pretty good description, and it looks like we're probably fortunately coming to an end, but it does bring up a good point with, there will be times, I would assume, we've already talked about tightening funds in the future and that kind of thing. This is an extreme, and I don't think it probably merits being a regular budget item, but it does seem like for a community of Fremont, in some fashion, would be possible to set aside a fund that would not exceed, for example, I'm not sure what the number would be, $25,000, but define it truly as being an emergency crisis. I'm sure those definitions are out there. Is it possible to do something like that within the framework of the Keno funds, Angie?
So this is the Keno Grant Fund.
Right.
That I manage. The rest I would defer to finance and to city administrator.
Mm-hmm. Would there be a category that would fit that, Jody?
Well, generally speaking, I think that falls more within the county's realm to have it used to be called the poor fund. I think it's now called the indigent fund, where when people are, in unprecedented times and they're down on their luck, that the county generally addresses that. But it's something that if it's the will of the council, I believe we can do. We'll check with legal to make sure, but the definition, Keno proceeds can be used for community betterment. And that is so broadly defined in statute that one could argue you could do almost anything with Keno funds.
Yeah, and I think we have to be careful because this could be, I don't see this as an ongoing routine type program, but in something defined truly as an unusual circumstance, such as we're in right now. Somewhere there, I'm sure there's probably a definition to that effect. I think it's worth considering just to have a slush fund, if you choose to call it that. And it wouldn't have to be terribly big. 25,000, I would think, would cover a lot of contingencies, just for what it's worth.
Any other comments?
Now, I would like to say, though, I've watched Fremont, and there are many organizations, one that met today, matter of fact, that was collecting food for the food bank, and people are giving extra donations. And we are so fortunate to have a community that has a coalition where the agencies do, in fact, support one another and work with one another. And listening to what Hy-Vee is doing, they're giving extra food. Baker's is following right in suit, as many of our businesses are doing that, in fact. So kudos to our businesses and citizens of Fremont helping one another. I just want to point that out, that it's not addressed, but individuals and small groups are also involved.
Any other comments from council? All right, open the public hearing on this. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Take a motion on this item.
Well, if there's no other comment, first I'll thank you both for obliging me in initiating this discussion a little bit, but I will go ahead and make the resolution to approve resolution 2025-290.
Motion by Jensen,
And I will second.
second by Vaughn. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
All right, now the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member, staff, or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed for consent agenda and considered separately. Anything to be removed by council? None? Okay, anyone from the public? Not seeing any, I will take a motion on the consent agenda. Oh. Go ahead. State your name and address, please.
Daniel Check, 1649 North Maxwell. Just out of curiosity, because I'm just looking at being good stewards of the money that is there. On items 10 through, I think it's 13, those are lease items. And my question is, why would we lease instead of purchase? And if you look at the 250-hour allotment that is on the lease, 250 hours is 10 full day, 10 24-hour days. So the amount of time that is going to be used on those vehicles, are we going to go over the allotted amount on
Mayor.
those?
So we're just trying
Could I
to.
call
We're
a
just
point of
trying to-
order?
Do you want any of these?
If you want
removed?
to discuss those, we'll have to remove them from the consent agenda. Take them one by one. if
Well,
that's
I
what
was
you'd
just
like to.
curious and asking about that.
Yeah, if you wanted to ask it
You want to remove
during
it?
public comment, we could remove them now.
That's completely up to you guys. I'm just asking for better understanding. That's all.
We can discuss it separately if you remove whatever item you
It
want.
can't be discussed now unless you remove the items.
Mayor, I would recommend, just for clarity and help the gentleman out, that we remove 10, 11, and 12, 13, or 13, and we can discuss them as one or separately.
That work?
I'll second.
We're approving the consent agenda minus the items 10, 11, 12, and 13. Motion is second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay, we'll go down to item number 10, resolution 2025-281.
Ryan Palmer, Fleet Manager. Item number 10 is the E38 mini excavator. That is for the water department. The unit they currently have is aging out, starting to cost some money. We've done some figuring. Leasing these smaller units on a yearly lease works out better for the city financially. There's no repairs. The rate we negotiated down is a pretty decent rate compared to other competitors. The 250 hours, we did some research. And other units that we lease, 250 hours is about right. We average right in that 230 to 45 hour range for this type of equipment. So it works out pretty good for us. It's no repairs, 100% warranty. We grease it and fuel it and turn it back at the end of the year. This particular one is a replacement of the older units, so it'll be sold at public auction if this is approved. Take any questions?
Yeah, I just asked you, so in your studies, is this true for all of these, that the lease agreements are in fact saving money?
Yes.
You're doing a better job for the city with taxpayer money?
Yes, they are.
Blair Horner, here, just, I'm just doing the math and, that comes out to about $670 roughly on a monthly basis for the rental, lease rental. It seems to me like that's a fairly reasonable number for each of these for that type of equipment. When I look at just regular rental rates on that stuff on an hourly basis, it's pretty high. So at 250 hours, is that for the year?
For the total.
The
year,
250?
Yes.
I think you guys did a pretty good job on that negotiation, I would say.
Any more comments from council? If not, I'll open the public hearing on it. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-281.
Motion by Jensen,
I seconded.
second by Peterson. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item number 11, resolution 2025-282. Lease for Caterpillar.
This one is for the power plant. It's a replacement of a currently leased unit, and ballpark last week when I checked hours on it, we're right in that 235, 240 range, so we're right there on the hour range. They've leased a skid steer for the last few years, and it's kind of what started this, that it was working out quite well for the city, so this is just a release of one that the term comes due here in about 2 weeks, I think.
Any comments from council? If not, I'll open to the public hearing for public comment. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. I'll take a motion from council.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Motion by Blair. Second
Second.
by Lathrop. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
All right, item number 12, resolution 2025-284, authorizing the one-year lease of a Bobcat.
This one is for the street department. Again, it's replacing an older unit that's aging out of the fleet. We want a Bobcat on this side because they currently own the Bobcat and all the attachments fit Bobcat. So Bobcat was pretty negotiable on the lease rate, same 250-hour ratio. It's pretty much the same thing, just Bobcat instead of cat.
Okay. Any comments from council?
On these, and I think the leasing actually is a good idea, but I'm curious, just to enlighten us a little bit, each one of these pieces of equipment, and I'm not looking for hard dollars, but I know these leases are just a fraction of what the equipment costs. And then once you buy, I don't know what the warranty is. I mean, I'm assuming 250 hours, anything happens. And as any farmer knows, your most expensive time is downtime. So I'm assuming there'll be no downtime here. So that's wonderful. But are these, like you're talking $7,000, $8,000, $9,000? Are these $80,000 $80,000 piece of equipment, 60,000?
The ballpark numbers, I don't remember the exact quote.
Sure, I
The T66 Bobcat was around that 75,000
Okay.
range.
Okay.
The 265 Cat skid steer is a little over 90,000. It's a bigger skid steer.
Sure,
I mean,
okay.
that's a pretty big unit.
Right.
The E38, I apologize, I do not remember what the quote to purchase that
That's
was.
fine. But it's a fraction. I mean,
Yes.
it's all about the cost of ownership. And I just think it's something like, if you look at the lease is just, you're buying a piece of the pie. Because this is what I need it for now. So I think it's a wise move. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Any more comments from council? I'll open the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-282.
Motion by Horner,
I'll second.
second by Jensen. Cast your votes.
Mayor, I need to correct that. It should have been 284. Sorry.
What did you say?
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item 13, resolution 2025-286, authorizing the one-year lease of the Caterpillar 255 skid steer.
In, the 255 is for the electric distribution. They had a 265 last year and determined it was a little big for people's yards and stuff. So they're gonna go down one size. That's why the price is $1,000 lower, just a little more usable, user-friendly for that department.
Any comments from council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. We'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
And I second it.
Motion by Vaughn, seconded by Peterson. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
All right, we go to unfinished business. Item number 18, ordinance 5730, updating the Unified Development Code of the City of Fremont, Nebraska. Second reading.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Charlie Cowell, RDG Planning and Design. Just want to give you an update on some of the changes we heard since the first reading. I'll keep it brief, but as you recall, first reading was held on October 28th council meeting. We received some comments on the draft at that time, and then we had several come in from the council members over that time. Probably 5 or 6 here. I'll just go through them because it's a short list, and then answer any questions. 2 related to the zoning map. One was related to a planned development district we spoke about at the meeting north of the YMCA site, and taking some residential uses out of that PD area. A second one was switching a residential subdivision that's being developed or to be developed from R2 to R3 to better match the lot size in that area. It's south of Military Avenue, north of Jack Sutton Drive, for that new subdivision development in that area. So those were the only 2 comments we received on the zoning map. For the text itself, we had a couple comments come in related to Article 5 for the use specific standards. One item relates to residential uses in the neighborhood commercial district to make sure that those are either limited or conditional uses rather than not being permitted as they were listed in the original draft, so that existing residential uses would be legal and not considered legal non-conforming, and then future residential could be allowed to under a limited or conditional use permit. As well as added that all institutional residential is a conditional use in the neighborhood commercial and general commercial. That is a change. To Article 6, as we discussed, this one was discussed at the meeting. General development standards under landscaping, we removed the requirement that the front yard tree in residential yards has to be a canopy tree specifically, and instead just left it open for any type of tree defined in the code. And then one item that came in between the meeting and this meeting related to signs, we made an amendment to where pole signs are allowed in the general commercial districts. There is a a table that notes specific corridors that pole signs would be permitted on. And this edit adds the 23rd Street corridor to that list, which wasn't on there previously. And then lastly, as discussed at the meeting on October 28th, we looked into the resolution that was passed earlier this year regarding the council direction to be held to the same standards of development. So that resolution is still in effect, but we made sure that language was actually in the ordinance itself as well. So it would be noted in there too. And that would be in Article 10 for the zoning procedures. So those were the handful of changes and comments received since first reading, and those are reflected in the
Comments from council?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Charlie, I just want to say thank you for your patience and
Mm-hmm.
for your attention to detail on this. And we have a few more things for you to consider, obviously. So I just wanted to, and I know we're not at the point where we're going to make motions right now, but just, I do have some that I'd like to make, but one of them I just want to ask about is one on the Article 7, we have already made the change that the pole signs will be allowed on 23rd Street.
yeah, we
Okay,
that
all
was
right,
added
so
to
that
the
one
table
doesn't need
notes.
to be made again, obviously.
Councilmember Warner. So that was made by a suggested amendment from a council member to you prior to this meeting.
But
But
we'll
I-
still need to make the amendment.
We would have to approve, because these were suggested amendments, those would have to be approved by council to the version that got approved at the last.
Okay, so tonight we're approving what we did at the last meeting. I understand that, but we still need to make the recommendation for something like this, even though it's already been, in the draft, we've got to still make the recommendation and approve it.
Yes, that would be my preference.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so before we jump into the motion, when we get there, I've got a list. Okay, just want to put everybody on notice on that.
Charlie, I just have a question, a clarification on the note. Thank you for adding that to the end of that. It does say, however, at the end of that, the 500 feet on either side of Highway 30/23rd Street from the Highway 30, 77 to 75 interchange. Just to clarify that, I'm assuming that that's on the east side of Fremont and that it's not on the north side, north of, like on Broad Street up in that area. Maybe we just need to clarify that it's the east interchange of that, maybe?
Okay, yeah, it's reflected in some of the other buffer distances too, but
Just clarify the east interchange, maybe. I mean, it's the right concept. It just needs to have directional.
are the other interchanges listed in that note, then this
Why-
does need to be amended too?
No, it's just specific to 23rd Street
Okay.
because it says from the interchange of 30, 77 and 275. And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm not reading this right. But 30, 77 and 275 also intersect north of 23rd up on Broad up there. That's how I kind of look at it. So I just think maybe a small clarification there. And then also in the neighborhood commercial, the institutional, I think we kind of had a conversation, the three of us, Jeff and you and myself. The institutional, if it's less than 8 residents, that would be conditional. I think it's listed as limited, right? Or no, I think it's supposed to be limited and not conditional. So just a matter of changing an L in that. If we could, please. And I too would like to thank you because I've been kind of wearing you out.
Oh, no, 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 you're welcome.
So thank you.
Any other comments? Council?
Charlie, thank you very much. And I will be making an amendment to go in the front of our UDC. I didn't give you a copy, but I have copies and our colleagues have copies. And I've made extra if anyone in the audience would like to have some.
Need a
Oh,
motion to receive, don't we?
The council has a copy. You received a copy. Will we still receive it? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we receive the document.
And I'll second it.
Cast your votes.
A motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
What's that?
Mayor, if I
Go
may,
ahead.
I just think for the benefit of the public, is there any way that we could read that? So that,
Oh, I plan to do that.
Okay,
When I
okay.
make the amendment,
okay,
I
thank
will
you.
do that. Just let me know when I can make it.
All right. Anybody else? I'll open the public comment on this. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing or public comment. Comments from council or amendments, or what are we gonna do?
Well, what I would like to do, I guess, the thing that seems to me like might be the easiest thing to do is I would like to make a motion that we approve the second reading of this item with the following amendments. And if anybody else would like to join on those, because I think a couple of us have some of those, then is that the best way to do this, Travis?
Certainly could. The only thing that might get messy is if some get approved and some don't, because we'd stack on amendments. So
Gotcha.
it might be easiest to suggest
One at a
amendments.
time?
Yeah, vote on them and then go to the next
Okay.
one. I think that'd be easier for Charlie to, and the
Okay.
clerk with the minutes and all that. It's
All
up to
right.
you, though.
Then the first amendment would be, has to do with the map, and it has to do with Sunridge Place. And I would like to recommend an amendment to change the portion of Sunridge Place that is zoned R2 to R3 so that it is all zoned R3 instead of two different zones. Right now, the R2 will create non-conforming lots and lots that were previously approved all the way through planning, all the way through city council. And if we leave it this way, we're going to put them in a position where they have non-conforming lots due to lot size. So lot 3 or R3 for the entire portion of the residential part of that. We leave the commercial alone, that's fine. The residential portion though, my recommendation for the amendment is that that all be changed to R3.
And I will second that amendment if we're gonna do these one at a time.
I got a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
The next one that I've got would be with the map and would be in regards to Midland University, which is right now R3, which is quite restrictive. Does not match what they do. It does not match what they have currently in place. And it seems that R4 would be more suitable for them. And I make a recommendation that we change that on the map to R4.
Is that your motion? Is that a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Cast your votes.
My last one for tonight,
That
Mayor,
vote.
would be, I'm sorry, do we need to announce that? Okay, my last one for tonight would be in regards to the accessory dwelling units references, and I'm sorry I don't have that in front of me, Charlie. I should have it all memorized by now, but this is in reference to accessory dwelling units. For tonight, there's going to be some additional recommendations, but I think we need to work on the language. But for tonight, I am recommending that we remove all references to internal accessory dwelling units. I believe that those references are too restrictive. I believe that they will create instances where people will want to do things inside their home that the city can turn around and say no to. The city really, in my opinion, doesn't have any business saying no to or yes to, other than the building permit and the building codes. So I would like to make the motion that we remove the references. And although I know in the code, it's not, is it called internal and external ADUs? Okay, so I would like to remove all references to the internal ADUs so that we're only treating external ADUs in the zoning code. That would be my motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to hear from either our Charlie as the consultant or Jeff Ray as our planning director, if they have thoughts on some of these amendments.
You want to go through the amendments first and have them?
But you're voting on the amendments right after they're
Right.
read.
Yeah. You guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, regarding ADUs, it's every city does it differently. Some do go heavy on kind of specifying design standards for ADUs. I will say probably for those that regulate ADUs, the majority don't mess with internal ADUs all that much. Probably, if I do a rough calculation in my head, but some do, so it's not uncommon necessarily. But I would say, as far as ordinance is concerned, I would lean on council's direction on that. As far as impacts of internal ADUs on neighborhoods and homes, I think you've kind of mentioned those things on what they potential impacts would be and how they probably maybe aren't as big of a deal for Fremont as maybe some other college communities where it would be maybe a bigger deal. So I guess that's my my thoughts on it. There's not really a right or wrong way for internal, external. It's kind of
Good evening, Council. Jeff Ray, Planning Director. I agree with Charlie. It's difficult to identify where the existing ones are, as well as to regulate them when they are internal. And I don't really have a strong opinion on whether we should have them in the zoning ordinance or not. The only concern that I would maybe have for you to consider is if you put forward a standard for all ADUs to require the additional parking space. That would be really the only impact that I would really see to the neighborhood that you could consider. But many communities treat it in different ways.
And I appreciate that concern. I really do. And I've given that a lot of thought. It seems to me like in the areas where the additional parking would be probably the most impactful, those are probably areas where you're not able to park on the street overnight because of an HOA or some other rule that is above and beyond what the city does. But in areas where I think that these are most likely to occur, least likely to occur, you probably actually have the most ideal situation for them because there's street parking allowed. And I think street parking could be used in lieu of an on-site or a parking spot on the lot. I'm sure there's going to be an instance that's going to come up where that doesn't apply, but I think it's going to be the one-off and not the majority. And what I really worry about is, that you guys, I don't worry about. I know you, but I can't predict what we're gonna have in the future. And I can't predict what mindset's gonna be in those chairs. I can predict what a rule may look like. And I can say that I think that there's times that people would look at that and interpret it a lot differently and start limiting what people can do within the walls of their own house. And that that concerns me, that we're over-regulating. And I'm not trying to beat a dead horse with this, and I'm not trying to sound an alarm. I just don't want to create a situation where we're telling people they can't have a kitchen in their basement. So I would still make that motion that we remove the references for internal ADUs. And I really appreciate the input, guys. I really, really do.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Oh, second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Any other comments from council? Sally?
Okay, my turn. Before I share that amendment with you, I just wanted to start out by saying thank you to the UDC committee and all the people involved in making this document, developing the document. It has been a tremendous experience for me. It was learning experience and a better understanding of UDC. In fact, the many public hearings that were held, they broke it down by sections and went through the items. And I was able to learn about the UDC. Of course, that way, I also recognized that the city then was not following its own UDC guidelines at times. So I want to say thank you for the tremendous amount of work that the committee put into it, the sheer number of hours, time, and effort. And thank you, thank you, thank you. It was fantastic to be able to listen and learn from them. But leadership, a couple months ago in August, we did pass a resolution on leadership, because I strongly believe leadership includes leading by example, and you model the behaviors and items you want others to follow. And we need to be good leaders and stewards, of course, of our tax dollar monies. So I will share with you, I called it the preamble to the Unified Development Code because I really believe it should be right out in front. The city of Fremont has updated its Unified Development Code, and all citizens, businesses, and other entities operating within the jurisdiction of the city of Fremont are required to follow the code. The city of Fremont is legally exempt from the regulations and standards set forth within the code. The city of Fremont recognizes its leadership role in the community and the importance of leading by example. This shall apply to all departments of the city of Fremont. The city of Fremont desires to act in an open and transparent manner and will endeavor to adhere to this Unified Development Code. The city of Fremont may deviate from the code when the city of Fremont determines that it is in the best interest of its residents. And in such instances, the city of Fremont will follow the appeals process of the Unified Development Code. It's basically, we will follow the same process that we're requiring everyone else to follow. And so I would like to make a motion that we accept this amendment to go in the front of this document.
I'll second.
All right, cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Sally.
Okay, I have another one then. I would like to amend the document under 11-1002, point zoning procedures responsibilities under B, applicability, and remove that entire section because that refers to this resolution. I make that as a motion.
Do we have a second?
Could we get a comment from?
I
Jeffrey?
can read it to you. It says the city council, no part of this UDC restricts or limits any other powers that are granted to the city council by federal law, state statute, or the Fremont Municipal Code. However, the city of Fremont should lead by example in the community and strive to comply with the requirements of the UDC in public projects and city-owned property. I would move that we remove that because then it becomes redundant. And it's hidden way kind of in the middle of the document. No one will ever see that. I'm asking that under 11-1002, zoning procedures and responsibilities. It's Article 10.
But it's
I
not the
asked
part,
that
that's-
it-
but it's not the part that says that the city is exempt. It's just the
Well-
part that says it's gonna leave, it's just the part that repeats that,
The
the two.
I
the
would
dot two.
move that we remove section B, item B.
I'll second.
Mayor, I would not recommend removing that. I would just remove the part that says, however, the city of Fremont should lead by example. I think we should preserve that applicability section with acknowledging the preamble that's there.
The preamble does say the city of Fremont is legally exempt from the regulations and standards set forth within the code. So it does relate directly to that. I tried to address that.
Yeah, referencing the limits on any other powers granted to the city under federal law, state statute, or the Fremont Municipal Code. I'd recommend keeping it, but it's up to the council.
Blair seconded. You seconded that? We could put it.
That would be my preference.
Well, it still addresses in the preamble unless we want to put that. Well, it is directly repetitive. I might come back with another amendment next time. For tonight, I'm okay with that
Are you
for
changing
tonight.
your motion then?
But I just think that's why I would bring it back next time. Because we're not giving it up when I say the city of Fremont is legally exempt from the regulations and standards set forth within the code. That relates to the laws. Unless you want it stated, the city of Fremont is legally exempt from regulations and standards set forth within the code as. Yeah. We can leave it that way. We'll leave it that way. So we amend my amendment. Or I'll take a friendly motion to amend it.
Can you help me out?
You're gonna modify your motion?
I can modify the amendment as suggested that we remove, however, the city of Fremont should lead by example in the community and strive to comply with the requirements of the UDC in public projects and city-owned
And
property.
that works. I will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's it right now. Thank you.
So we need to make a motion on. You all know?
Do I need to make a motion on what I brought up before?
Were updated since the last meeting, so I'm not sure if those each individually have to be, if we want to do them all together, but there's several others.
So do I, in that motion though, do I need to have the updated stuff that I mentioned ahead of time?
Sounds like you want to make more tonight on top of what you've already sent to him. Is that right?
No, there were just two of them that they were basically amended, like changing from conditional to limited, and then just clarifying the direction of the pole signs.
And I believe we still had the issue outstanding on the pole signs for 23rd Street.
Right, clarifying that.
So those two items, yeah, I would suggest making a motion to amend so that they would be included in the second reading as amended today.
All right, then I will make that motion. Do I need to do them separately? Okay. Okay, I would move to clarify the direction of the interchange on the pole signs. And then in the NC district, make that modification from limited or from conditional to limited on less than 8 residents.
So I have a-
I would second those modifications.
have a motion and a second. Paul, did you have something?
Could we I'd just like to get Jeff's thoughts on that. It'd just be helpful for agree, disagree.
All right. I totally agree with Councilwoman Lathrop on the institutional residential to make that limited, not in the NC. I think that is appropriate. That is the discussion that we had outside of council last time. And then the clarification on the intersection will help me ultimately, obviously, as I go to enforce that and keep it clear for all the citizens.
I've got one quick question on that, Mayor, just for clarification on that neighborhood, on the neighborhood commercial, especially along Bell. The changes we're making would allow those homes that are homes remain homes. And if they sold, they would still be able to remain homes, correct? If somebody somebody listed one, it sold and somebody bought it as a residence, that's not going to be an issue where they're just going to be able to remain a residential.
That's a separate item from what, this was the institutional residential for less than 8 units.
Okay.
So those are two separate items.
Okay, so we have one more amendment we're gonna have to make, Lori.
We had a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Paul, did you get your clarification? Did you get what you wanted? Anybody else?
There's just one more that's gonna need to be made that's known. We'll get it done tonight. I know this is a
Yeah.
pain, but
Yeah, in the memo I mentioned at the beginning, when I went through the list, that we we had, based on request, had added a single-family detached duplex row home as limited uses in the NC district, and then multifamily as conditional use.
Want to make that motion or?
So moved.
Second.
Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
So we need to make a motion.
There's one more. So
Okay,
for
so you're right.
neighborhood commercial along Bell Street, we've got to make sure that those existing homes, when they sell and they become a resident and somebody buys them to live in again, that doesn't become a non-conforming use. We've got too short of homes in Fremont right now to be giving up homes. I would say that with that, my recommendation would be that if they change to commercial use, they stay commercial. They don't go back to residential. In other words, you don't sell them when they're residents and then they become commercial and then you can sell them and they can go back to residential. It's neighborhood commercial. That's the intended long-term use. We want to see it transition to that. But I think if it stays residential, it needs to be able to we need to be able to make sure that can happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's what you just approved.
That's what we just approved. That was the part we just approved. I thought that was something else.
That was for neighborhood commercial to allow residential in all neighborhood commercial districts.
In all, okay, all right, thank you.
Now, there is a portion of Bell Street north of, I don't want to add conversation to, or complexities here, but north of Linden Avenue, Bell Street does transition to general commercial and not neighborhood commercial, but a lot of that is more business related enterprises.
All right, so we need to make a motion on 5730, updating Unified Development Code as amended. For second reading.
I will make that motion to approve second reading as amended.
I will second.
Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5730, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending ordinance number 5427 as it pertains to Unified Development Code update, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict or with providing for severability and providing an effective date. Second read.
Okay. Moving on to new business.
Can I make a comment? Just
Oh, I'm sorry.
had my light on.
Oh, go ahead.
Just for those of you listening, this has been an interesting process. If you think this is difficult to follow, this is a huge document. And I was not able to make the first reading of this. But I just wanted to say thank you to the Planning Commission and the group that dedicated so much time to this. There were, I don't remember how many, 6 or 8 probably sessions that went an hour to hour and a half going through this section by section. And I went into every one of those. I came out of every one of those knowing a whole lot more than I understood. But it was a great learning process. And I really appreciate a document this big, this comprehensive. I think that's a good process. Yes, it's tedious, it's long, but it's needed. In fact, Mr. Mayor, I'd even suggest, I made a comment when we were going through the budget about involving the council more. And I guess this type of thing is what I really had in mind. It isn't that the council wasn't involved, but I really do think that informal sessions like this, going through the budget piece by piece, kind of on an ad hoc basis, less formal, would be tremendously informative. I learned a lot from this process. I'm grateful for it. I would recommend that we expand on it in other venues.
Okay, I'll move on to new business. Resolution 2025-270, authorizing the mayor to sign the construction manager at risk, CMR, contract with Boyd Jones Construction for the fire station satellite headquarters and headquarters.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. What you see in front of you is an agreement going to Boyd Jones for our satellite and headquarters fire station project. Back in June, we advertised a request for proposals. We actually received 8 proposals. We had the selection committee score each one individually, and we invited the top 3 for an interview process. After the interview process, the selection committee decided to move forward with Boyce Jones. We're really anxious to get them on board. Over the last few weeks, our communications with the architect has slowed down a little bit because we just want to get Boyd Jones on board and start coming up with some estimated construction costs for us and getting that guaranteed maximum pricing for us. So that's where we are right now. If you have any questions for me. Also, we do have a couple of representatives for Boyd Jones here tonight. So if you have any questions for them, we're open.
Comments for Chief? Okay. Open the public hearing on this. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any more comments from council?
I just say, if you're happy with these people as our construction manager, I'm glad to see this project moving forward. We're glad to see some of the infrastructure the city has needed for a long time actually getting done. And with that, if there's no other comment, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-270.
And I will happily second.
Motion and second, cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item 20, resolution 2025-287, authorizing the final acceptance of the 2023 traffic signal improvement project in the amount of $104,000 for $104,327,039. Did I get that number wrong? Okay. I guess. Report from staff.
Mayor, Council, Dan Gillis, Director of Public Works. Thanks for your time. So this wraps up the first of 3 annual phase project for traffic signal improvements. And so this includes just over a $10,000 change order to conduct some repairs that were made for some damaged pedestrian push button poles at different locations. And then wraps up the final work of the project and releases their retainer. So final pay app is just over $104,000, and that concludes this year's project. Next year's project is being designed right now. We'll go under out for bid here soon for construction during next season.
Any comments from council? Lord?
I know it's not within this particular phase, but any idea when we're looking at the stoplight at Summers and 23rd?
That is during the next phase, so
Okay.
next construction season.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments? Council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any more comments from council? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion?
Second?
A second? Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item 21, resolution 2025-279, approve the change order to the contract with Sawyer Construction for the 23rd Street turn lane improvements in the amount of $290,733. Staff report.
Mayor, Council, Dan Gillis, Director of Public Works again. So this item has 2 parts to it. One is a widening of a turn lane on 23rd at Deers Parkway. That was a recommendation from Department of Transportation at the state. The idea there is for increased visibility, and the result will be decreased occurrences of accidents at that location. The cost for that, just about $68,000. The second part to that, the meat of this change order has to do with some inadequate soils that were found in the turn lanes on 23rd Street. They had to over excavate, so the soils that they found weren't able to be compacted well enough to support the new pavement. So they had to over excavate, fill back in with proper soils, compact that, and that additional cost is what we see here for $222,000. They went about 2 feet down, I think, from Luther all the way to Deers Parkway. In some cases, they did go deeper than that, and so that was work that we had to get done while the hole was open. And so we're thankful for Sawyer Construction to get that done for us, and so that's where we are with that.
Comments from council?
Yeah, I would just like to thank you guys for paying attention because I have years ago had a construction background. I know the soil in that part of town is terrible. And if you hadn't caught this now, we'd be going back in 5 years, just tearing it up and redoing the whole thing because it would just fall apart.
Yes, sir.
And so, yeah, I know it's 10 grand, but it's still, you did the right thing because it's gonna, that's gonna extend the life of this beyond and beyond. So good job. Thank you.
Just to add to that, I was driving along there and I was wondering at the time why in the hell they were digging such a deep hole. So it was kind of interesting and such a long, deep hole. It did look like quite the excavation job that was going on, and I had assumed that they had probably found something that they needed to take care of. I am a little shocked by the amount, honestly. That's a big change order. Are we almost done with that out there now? All we got is the striping left?
We are waiting for a traffic signal to be delivered for Deers Parkway. So until that happens, the left turn lane will be closed off, and so it will operate with the light as it has been. So there will be one entry to the intersection where folks can turn left, go forward, or take a right.
Okay.
Once that light comes in, and we don't have an ETA yet on that light. It may be this fall. It may be spring. I hate to say. Once that happens, we'll open up that left turn lane, and that light will be put up. And then we're working on scheduling temporary striping to make it over the winter, and then they'll come back with permanent striping next spring. The issue with striping is that we spec'd out what's called polyurea, which is a sort of like top end striping. So yes, it costs more. There are fewer vendors that provide it, but it's got better adherence to the pavement and will last years longer. So to Councilman Peters' point, less maintenance and it will last longer. So over the lifetime of that paint, it will last longer. So we'll get some temporary striping going on here this fall yet before weather turns too bad, and then the spring will come back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also was a bit taken aback by the change order cost, and then converting cubic yards to, a typical dump truck to the side dumper semi-loads. We're probably talking hundreds of trips by the time excavation and then refill and pack. So I guess it kind of made more sense when I looked at it from that vantage point. So I'll be in support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll open the public hearing on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Take a motion.
If there are no other comments from council, I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 2025-279.
And I will second.
Have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item number 22, resolution 2025-283, authorizing staff to sign the Northern Natural Gas right of first refusal notice, extend contract 111012.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This is for an extension of an existing contract with Northern Natural Gas. We have 3 natural gas storage contracts, and this one just extends it for another 5 years. all of our contracts with Northern Natural Gas give us first rights of refusal. So we would like to request that council approve this and we'll keep this contract in effect. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Open up the public hearing on this one. Seeing none, I'll close it. Take a motion on resolution 2025.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Vaughn,
I'll second.
second by Ganem. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay, item number 24, resolution 2025-292, awarding contract to HBI to perform a combustion inspection and number 2 bearing inspection of at the Darrell G. Marshall Generation Station in the amount of $556,324.
For an inspection of Darrell G. Marshall, call it Unit 50T combustion gas turbine. This is doing an inspection of the burner chambers and an inspection of number 2 bearing. Number 2 bearing is running hot. These inspections are dictated by number of hours run and starts. This unit's due for this combustion chamber inspection. We developed a spec, sent out the spec. We received the quotes back that are shown in the staff report. Staff evaluated the bids, contacted the references. We've worked with some of these companies and staff has determined that HPI is the lowest responsible bidder that meets the fullest compliance with the specifications and is recommending HPI to be able to do the inspection on this turbine.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you for Jeff. I have no objection here. I'm just curious. It's an inspection and it's over $500,000. So can we expect after this inspection that there's going to be some requests for repairs, or is this routine? Kind of what
No,
is this for?
they'll be absolutely in repairs. The burner chambers will be sent off, evaluated, depending on the conditions of the chambers. We'll either look for, like, basically put in a core charge and get a new one back, or they'll repair the ones we have if they determine damage. We'll just look at it when it comes time to get those done as to which is the fastest to get it back in service. So,
You know, when I get my furnace inspected, they find repair needs, the inspecting charge goes towards the repair. That's not going to be the case here, will it?
no.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, if there's nobody else, I'll open a public hearing on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Take a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-292.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Please cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
We are adjourned.